Saraswati, and tonight we're going to be talking about astral cognition. And before I get started tonight, I had to have a little shout out to say hello to somebody. So I'll just before we get into the script, tonight's lecture, I'd just like to say hello to Lauren and we'll get going. So tonight we're going to change the format slightly. We're going to go straight into the lecture, and following the lecture we've got a Q&A section. We've got 7 questions and answers, followed by some announcements, and followed by, at the end, a reflection after tonight's talk. So, as I mentioned, this is week 5 of the series. The series name is, or title is, the Ascension Formula, Series 1. And week 5 is on astral cognition. So welcome everybody to week 5 of the QEEU 12-week series. In week 3, we explored Homo Lumina, the emerging human of this era. In week 4, last week, we mapped the multidimensional brain, the interface that allows consciousness to operate across layers. Tonight, we enter the next layer of the canon, astral cognition, the mode of perception that emerges when the subtle body becomes clear, the dimensional knots begin to loosen, and the brain starts functioning as a multidimensional receiver. Astral cognition is not imagination. It is not fantasy. It is a layer of mind with its own laws, its own structure, and its own bandwidth. 1. What astral cognition is? Astral cognition is the capacity to perceive, interpret, and navigate the astral layer, the dimension of subtle perception, symbolic intelligence, energetic information, non-local impressions, emotional intuitive patterning. It is the layer between the physical and the causal, and it acts as the bridge between the human mind and higher cognition. Astral cognition is the first major expansion beyond the physical mental layer. 2. The astral layer as an information field. The astral layer is an information field, not a physical space. It contains emotional signatures, energetic patterns, symbolic structures, intuitive impressions, and non-local data. When the subtle body is clear, the practitioner begins to perceive this field directly. This is the beginning of astral cognition. 3. The role of dimensional knots. Astral cognition becomes accessible when the granthis, the dimensional knots, begin to loosen. When these knots are tight, perception is limited to the physical and mental. Intuition is blocked. Emotional residue distorts clarity. The mind remains linear. When the knots loosen, the astral layer becomes perceptible. Intuitive impressions become accurate. Symbolic intelligence activates. The mind becomes multidimensional. Astral cognition is the first sign that the system is unbinding. 4. The multidimensional brain and astral perception. The multidimensional brain model explains how astral cognition becomes possible. The brain receives signals from the astral layer through subtle body channels, junction points, intuitive pathways, and gamma synchronized networks. When these channels are clear, the brain can translate astral information into insight, imagery, intuition, symbolic understanding, emotional clarity. This is why astral cognition feels like knowing without thinking. 5. The zone state and astral bandwidth. The zone state, the state of multidimensional cognitive coherence, is the moment when astral and mental layers synchronize. In this state, the astral layer becomes vivid, intuitive impressions sharpen, symbolic intelligence activates, emotional noise drops, cognition becomes fluid and rapid. The zone is not a peak state, it is the natural cognitive signature of a clear, subtle body. Astral cognition is one of its primary components. 6. Subtle body hygiene and astral clarity. Astral cognition depends on the cleanliness of the subtle body. Daily practice functions as subtle body hygiene, clearing emotional residue, loosening knots, stabilizing channels, increasing dimensional permeability, reducing distortion. When the subtle body is clean, astral perception becomes accurate, stable, repeatable, non-dramatic, integrated. This is why Kriya is essential. It maintains the clarity required for astral cognition to function. 7. The mechanics of astral perception. Astral cognition operates through 3 mechanisms: symbolic perception, receiving information in symbolic or imaginal form; energetic perception, sensing patterns, fields, and emotional signatures; intuitive perception, direct knowing without linear reasoning. These mechanisms are not separate. They are 3 expressions of the same astral bandwidth. As the system evolves, these 3 merge into a unified mode of perception. 8. Astral cognition and human evolution. Astral cognition is the evolutionary bridge between the mental layer and the intuitive and causal layers. It is the first major expansion of human perception beyond the physical mental domain. Homo lumina is the human who has stabilized astral cognition and integrated it into daily life. This integration produces emotional intelligence, intuitive clarity, symbolic fluency, and non-local awareness, and expanded creativity. Astral cognition is not the end of evolution, it is the beginning of higher cognition. 9. Why astral cognition matters to QEEU. Astral cognition is essential to the canon because it explains how intuition works, how non-local information is received, how the subtle body influences perception, how the zone state emerges, how the multiverse becomes perceptible, how Homo lumina navigates dimensions. It is the layer that connects the human mind to the larger architecture of consciousness. Without astral cognition, the higher teachings of QEEU cannot be understood or applied. Closing. Tonight, we have entered the astral layer, the first expansion of human cognition beyond the physical and the mental. Next week, in week 6, we move into advanced astrophysics, the laws, structures, and mechanisms that govern the astral dimension itself. So this is the Q&A segment. So we've taken some questions, 7 questions from people. So we'll just go through them with the answers. Question 1, what is the difference between imagination and astral cognition? Imagination is generated by the mind. Astral cognition is received by the system. One is produced internally and the other is perceived. Astral cognition has structure, consistency, and accuracy. It is not fantasy. Question 2. How do I know if I'm experiencing astral impressions or just emotions? Astral impressions are clear, symbolic, and non-dramatic. Emotions are noisy, reactive, and personal. When the subtle body is clean, astral impressions arrive without charge. They feel like information, not reaction. Question 3. Do I need special abilities to perceive the astral layer? No. Astral cognition is a natural human capacity. It emerges when the subtle body becomes clear and the dimensional knots loosen. It is not a gift, it is a developmental stage. Question 4. What is the role of Kriya in developing astral cognition? Kriya is subtle body hygiene. It clears residue, stabilizes channels, and reduces distortion. When the system is clean, astral perception becomes accurate and repeatable. Question 5. Is astral cognition the same as intuition? Intuition is one expression of astral cognition. Astral cognition includes symbolic perception, energetic perception, and intuitive knowing. As the system evolves, they merge into a single mode of perception. Question 6. How does astral cognition relate to Homo Lumina? Homo Lumina is the human who has stabilized astral cognition and integrated it into daily life. It is one of the signatures of the emerging evolutionary stage. Question 7. Will we go deeper into this in future weeks? Yes. Week 6, next week, takes us into advanced astrophysics, the laws and structures of the astral dimension itself. Week 7 opens the causal layer, where the deeper architecture becomes visible. Thank you for your questions, the people that sent them in. We'll move now into a few brief announcements. So we've got 4 announcements. 1. Week 5 completion, astral cognition. Tonight we complete the astral layer of the canon. Week 5 marks the stabilization of astral cognition as a developmental capacity within the emerging human. 2. Week 6 preview, advanced astrophysics. Next week we enter advanced astrophysics, the laws, the structures, and the mechanisms that govern the astral dimension itself. 3. Week 7 preview, causal architecture, a subtle hint but not the full reveal. Week 7 will open the causal layer, the architecture behind evolution, continuity, and higher cognition. 4. Institutional milestone, the 6 solid pillars of QEEU, the final announcement of the night. Announcement. QEEU has now formally recognised the 6 solid pillars of the canon, 2 arts pathways and 4 sciences. This structure gives us a near complete understanding of the human system across physical, astral, causal, and evolutionary layers. This is a historic milestone for the institution. Now we've got a post-lecture reflection on astral cognition. So thanks for joining tonight's lecture. So week 5 opens a doorway that many people have touched without understanding. Now that you've seen the structure behind astral cognition, take a moment to reflect on your own experience. Here are a few gentle prompts to sit with over the next day or two. Plus, I'll post this on Facebook for anyone that's on Facebook. Okay. 1. Recall a moment when you felt more aware than dreaming. What were the qualities of that experience? Was there continuity, stability, or symbolic meaning? 2. Notice if you've ever experienced the driver-observer split, a moment where one part of you was experiencing and the other part was watching. How did that feel in your system? 3. Reflect on any symbols that have appeared in your inner world, not to analyze them, but simply to acknowledge their presence. What symbols return? What symbols feel alive? Or consider the difference between imagination and perception. Where do you feel each one in your body? How does your awareness respond to each? 5. Observe the interface as you fall asleep or wake up. The subtle layer between states often reveals the most. What textures, impressions, or sensations arise there? There is nothing to force and nothing to chase. Astral cognition unfolds through stillness, receptivity, and gentle awareness. Let the architecture settle and let the symbols breathe. Let the field reveal itself in its own time. So thank you for your presence tonight. Next week, we move into advanced astral physics and into energetic mapping, where perception and subtle body intelligence begin to unify. Thank you. So namaste. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. That was week 5. So next week, week 6, advanced astrophysics.